first off, just aftermath and how everything went for you, and also what you caught post game from a player perspective in terms of some crazy things that you heard or saw.
I think mostly the impression I had was everyone was just exhausted, right? And that was the exact word. I said to Dalton Varsho, I'm like, describe that experience. He's just like exhausting, and that was it. And I just think there are a lot of guys who were fried physically for sure, but mentally perhaps even more so. It was such an intense game with so many ups and downs, twists and turns, and there's the obvious laments, the missed opportunities, the chances with scoring position, the couple of mistakes that they made. There is obviously anytime you lose a game, but especially a game like that. I mean, there's just so much. I mean, there's literally two games in one there, and enough drama for four or five at least. So that was the general vibe. But then there was also the classic 2025 Blue Jays. I mean, yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, no sweat. This is what we do, and so that was pretty evident in a lot of the conversations as well.
Hey, Shi, as much as we want to talk about how tired the players are, how tired are you? And what did you do for 18 innings? They're talking about fruit platters. They're talking about eating steaks. They're talking about this and that. What did the reporters do? You guys were sitting up there grinding away. How many different stories did you write on your computer, and how many different plots did you have before the end came?
Oh, well, the first one that I submitted is very different from the second version that I submitted. And initially I had this really great story on Max Scherzer that hope to find another way to use down the road. But Max Scherzer ended up becoming he started out as one of the main characters and ended up becoming a bit player in the way that game turned out. Crazy as it is to say. Those games are super fun in a sense because it's changing so much constantly, and then what is important early becomes secondary later. But as it went along, it just starts becoming okay. I've got to have something ready to go here because it's like 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning, whatever it was back home when people are going to be editing this or reading this. So I better just have something ready to go, and then the second version that I came after talking to guys in the clubhouse was quite different, and I hope a little bit better than the first version I submitted.
How much level of concern was there last night in the clubhouse for Springer? Like, what was the feeling? I know everyone's like, oh, the MRIs, wait to hear what it says. But was it kind of like, you know what? We definitely lost Springer for the series.
I don't know that anybody was willing to go let themselves think, okay, we've lost Springer for the series, but obvious concern. And, John Schneider was trying to, be glass half full, even though he's like, yeah, this sucks. And how much he's meant to our team. There was just a lot of stuff to be careful with. So I think they want to make sure what the MRI says, see how he feels. I mean, Springer, as you guys know, just incredibly tough. He plays through so much. It's tough to play through an oblique if that's what it is, and that's the guess based on what limited stuff we heard. If you don't have your oblique, you can't swing the way that you need to swing. And he's already got his knee and other ailments that the wrist, the stuff that he's playing through. So that would be a devastating blow for the Blue Jays. But it does give them maybe a little bit of flexibility in terms of, well, now you can DH Bo Bichette and have a cleaner defensive alignment out on the field, so that if it ends up being that he can't play tonight or has to come out of the series, that's the very, very dull silver lining that there would be to that. But I think the Blue Jays weren't ready to go there just yet, and a lot of hope and a lot of optimism that Springer's going to be okay, if not for this game, then for later in the series.
All right. Yeah, that sucks that Springer could miss some time at all because he's one of their big guys, as we all know. So what about Bieber? What can Bieber give you tonight? Because he did warm up last night. They showed him on the mound throwing, kind of getting ready to go. So what can Shane Bieber give the Blue Jays tonight? And will him warming up affect? Because I think it will, at least a little bit, affect him in tonight's Game 4.
Maybe it will affect him, but I think one of the things that was working in their favor a little bit is that that flip in the rotation with he was 3 and 7 against the Mariners, and now he's 4 in this series. There was a little bit of extra time, a little bit of extra rest, and so I don't think he got super hot. It was just loosening up to be ready just in case there was a 19th or a 20th or whatever. But we'll see, right? The extra rest was important. The Blue Jays felt that that was something that would be good for him, especially considering how much he's already put on his arm coming back from the Tommy John surgery and everything. And ultimately, the Blue Jays need innings from him just as much as the Dodgers need innings from Ohtani tonight, right? Like, I mean, they literally used everyone in their bullpen. Eric Lauer made would have been one of their longest outings of all postseason out of the bullpen in relief. So you figure he's down. They got multiple innings from other guys. So a lot of extension last night, but everybody will find a way to reset as much as possible. But yeah, the Blue Jays definitely be counting on a lot from Bieber. And I think if they see his command with the fastball, then they figure everything else is going to fall into place. That's usually the case with him. But it's come and gone throughout the postseason, and he's found ways to get through some outings. But they need him to do a little bit more than just get through an outing. They need I would say at least 5 from him to have a good shot at winning this one tonight.
One of the guys that didn't pitch much was Chris Bassett. Any idea if they're okay with him back to back? I mean, I know that's crazy to say out of a normal bullpen, but you're talking about a starter who had an injury at the end of the season. So are they okay with a back to back? Because if that's the case, it makes their bullpen even shorter if they're not okay with it.
Yeah, I think they will be, and I know that Chris Bassett will be. And anytime I ask him anything to do with usage, he's like, I can do anything and everything that they want, as many innings as they want. I'm ready. And Chris is one of the ultimate competitors. No fear, finds ways to work with whatever he's got on a given day. And even though he did finish the season on the injured list with that back issue, he was of the mind that he could have pitched if needed, and he had pitched through that for a few starts there towards the end of the season. But they decided that since there was no need and they had some flexibility, that was better to just let him get some rest and see if he can fully reset himself for the postseason, which he did. So I would expect that Chris Bassett would be available. Now, how many? Expecting multiple innings might be too much, but I will say this: the couple times we've seen Chris Bassett in leverage so far in this postseason, I've really liked what I've seen, and he's obviously a good starter, and you're never going to walk away from a starter, but he'd be pretty interesting working out of the bullpen and getting some creative usage there. Just because I think his stuff plays differently and he attacks a little bit differently, and it's a really intriguing look.
This episode of FT is brought to you by Huel. Cheers.
Cheers.
We got a new Huel edition here, the Daily Greens. I've got blueberry, lemon, and thyme. You've got?
I got myself peach and hibiscus. I love peach. This is delicious. Fuel for the go, man. And this is really good for your body. It's really good for your systems. Anything that has greens in it, especially from Huel, is pretty fantastic. This will get you going, a little energy, a little boost, and keep your insides feeling well too.
Yeah, developed by registered nutritionists and dietitians. Few vitamins, minerals, and superfoods. Only 25 calories, 4 grams of fiber, only 1 gram of sugar. That's the goods. Of course, we still love the Huel Black Edition. I got chocolate peanut butter. How you doing?
Strawberry banana is delicious.
Let's go. Huel makes healthy eating simple. They also just launched into Target stores nationwide. Try both products today with 15% off your purchase for new customers with the exclusive code FOUL at Huel.com/foul. Use that code and fill out the post-checkout survey to help support the show.
Carlos Febles, the third base coach, did you see him in the clubhouse afterwards? Did he feel like, or did you hear anybody say like, hey, it's not a big deal? Because there was a couple sends there that, especially the one with Davis Schneider with Vlad on deck, not saying they wouldn't have walked him, but just saying, like, was there any kind of conversation, or did you see any body language that says like, he was pretty bummed?
I did not see Carlos after the game, but I was thinking through that play specifically a few times, And the Blue Jays obviously know Teoscar Hernandez really well, having had him on the club. Febles knows him well from being with the Red Sox all those years before he joined the Jays. So there's a lot of familiarity there. Like, Hernandez played that perfectly. It's a perfect relay to Edman. Edman's a perfect relay home. Like, the Dodgers had to be on the money with that. And I think in that spot, you're thinking that Vlad could get walked or see nothing to hit, and then it's Isaiah Kiner Falefa behind him afterwards, and you're like, that might be the shot, and let's force the Dodgers to make this play. And again, Teoscar Hernandez has an amazing arm, but like sometimes it's not always accurate, which we've seen also in this series. So I think that ultimately the choice there was, let's force the Dodgers to make the play. The Dodgers made the play, and the Blue Jays have to live with it. I didn't hate it in real time, even though Guerrero is on deck. The Dodgers could have avoided him, and then where are you at? And then maybe you're regretting not forcing the Dodgers to be perfect in their execution. So I think there were a lot of different laments, but I think more of the laments that I was hearing in the clubhouse was about different opportunities as runners in scoring position where guys couldn't find the hit, as opposed to that one specifically.
Listen, if Carlos Febles ever gets down, Shy, just give him some cookies, okay? I played against him in the Gulf Coast League. We called him Cookie Monster because he just ate cookies. Every time I see him, I'm like, Cookie Monster, and he just starts laughing. So just if he ever gets down, just walk up to him and give him some cookies, okay? He'll eat the whole box of them, all right? Especially with his old gray beard, okay? We're all getting there, Shy. So I get it. Here's my thing. I had no problem with that send because of everything you just said. Listen, Carlos had thought about this. And he, like you said, it took a perfect relay. Plus, they were going off the throw that Teoscar made earlier in the game, where he pulled it to the left of home plate. And so he's thinking, if he just misses the cutoff man by a step, then he's safe at home. Unfortunately for the Blue Jays fans, he made a perfect relay. Edman made a perfect relay. It was like Barker's throw earlier in the game where he threw out Freddie at home. It was just perfectly executed. I mean, it was part of the game. I had no problem with that thing because, like you said, guess what? Vladimir Guerrero ain't getting a hit in that situation. They're going like this, and then it's going to be on IKF. So I have no problem with that. Push the envelope. It didn't look like they were going to score any other way. Try to get that running. If that run scores, they probably win the game. So, Carlos, you're fine for me.
Yeah, I agree, and yeah, I'm not worried about Carlos being down at all. That guy, if you ever see him not smiling, then I mean, I've never seen it. So, a lot of energy, a lot of positivity for him, and I mean, sometimes baseball just happens, right? I like you said, and great teams make great plays sometimes, and sometimes you got to force that into them. And if it goes the other way a little bit, we're talking about what a great send that was, and not having this conversation. But there's so many other opportunities. To me, that's not the most glaring missed chance, right? You can go back to the weird play in the second inning with when Varsho thought it was ball four, Bo Bichette ends up getting picked off at second base. There were the Blue Jays lost probably at least a run that inning, maybe more. They had other opportunities to score in, I don't know, like almost every inning. I can't remember which numbers. Definitely the 10th, the 12th, the 18th. There were other opportunities. So it was not for want of other chances that they were in that situation. And I know John Schneider has been getting a lot of criticism for emptying the bench, and the way the lineup ended up being the way they finished the game. But he tried to win at different points, and it just didn't work out. And you could never know when you're taking your shot that, oh yeah, you're going to be playing a second game afterwards. So I didn't mind when Straw pinch ran for Barger, because you're trying to get a little bit benefit on the bases there. Maybe you can score another run, or when Heineman came in for Kirk, or some of the other moves that really depleted the batting order. But you're playing for that little edge to score a run. You're going for it. And sometimes you have to give your players a shot in a moment, and it leaves you weaker afterwards, but you probably would feel worse if you didn't take that shot in the moment and didn't have that opportunity. So there are so many things that you can debate. I'm not sure that send would be high on my list.
And the Dodgers are really good. They're favored. If you're Toronto, you're going to have to do some things to take risks, that if they work out, whew, we go, oh, remember when they pinch ran so-and-so and then he scored the winning run by this much? So I get it. I totally get it.
There were so many things in this game that happened that you forget, like the Bo Bichette. Bo Bichette, I mean, that would, if they would have lost in 9 innings by a run, that would have been, everyone would have been like, what the heck is he doing, right? So because it went 18 innings, people kind of forget about that, and they forget about Vlad scoring from first on a ball, barely got to the right fielder down the right field. There's so many things that happen in this game. Freddie getting thrown out of the plate, Kirk throwing out Shohei trying to steal. Like, because this game went so long, there were so many things you just kind of forget about. You almost have to rewatch it to think, like, gosh, like that. I forgot that happened because it was 2 days ago.
Yeah, like the Guerrero throw to third to get Hernandez to nip another inning in the bud there. I think there's so many. Yeah, like you guys said, that game was. I mean, again, literally 2 games, and enough to fill 4. But the other thing that about the Blue Jays is that everything that they did is in line with the way they played throughout the regular season, right? It's not like they suddenly went off script and they're just pulling things out of their butt to try and make things happen. That is the way they've played all season. They've switched up in those moments. They've tried to seize different opportunities and utilize specific skill sets in specific moments. It gets magnified obviously when it doesn't work out and a game gets extended the way that it did. And full credit, and we haven't even mentioned Eric Lauer yet and the job that he did, but like the bullpen's managed to just keep that one going. But that the Blue Jays did not behave out of character. They played their game. The Dodgers just outlasted them.